All right, so here we go. Most likely going to be talking about both the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series in this one here because it is, I'm recording this a bit later on Thursday, and I'm going to be talking quite a bit. I'm just in a talking mood, so we should be able to cover quite a lot in at least 40 minutes here, and there's a good chance I don't shut up at all. First and foremost, it's March 3rd. If you want to support me, support Pierce, support the work we do, support the live shows that we do, the videos that each of us do, consider joining the Patreon. It's in the link in the description below. It's the start of the month, start of a full month, so you're getting all the sheets, all the races, and everything you're paying for. And really outside of that, it's just it helps us out. This video is clearly audio only just because I'm going to be bouncing around, and like I said, I don't normally have anything to really show during these types of videos, but let's just get right into it and talk the Cup Series at Auto Club. And when we enter this race, I talked about it a bit in the Truck Series preview that I recorded earlier today, but look, Las Vegas is getting worn out more and more, and we're going to hear that a bit, from the drivers, from the people at the track, but I don't think a lot of people are really understanding like how worn out specifically the inside lane of turns 1 and 2 is. You have Bailey Curry, which is, yet again, I've wasted so much time this week listening to interviews and people talking to guys in the Xfinity Series for no real reason. But anyway, Bailey Curry was saying that is a major part of what they're focusing on right now. They're actually working on Mason Massey's 91 car that he tore up at an Auto Club in a parking lot right now at the South Point Hotel. But anyway, when they're talking about what they're bringing to the track, and I know we're talking Cup first, but Bailey Curry was specifically talking about how rough this track is getting. And you wouldn't think you would have to make that many changes, or at least comparing cars between Auto Club and Vegas, but he says he's actually more concerned about the bumps here at Auto Club, here at Vegas than he is Auto Club, only due to the fact that if it upsets the car, you don't have the space to grab the car. You don't have the room to save it. Las Vegas is a narrow track, and if you get sideways, if you mess up, specifically in turn 2, we've seen it a lot over the years. Somebody gets sideways, somebody gets in the wall out of 2. A lot of people can't really get room or find a way to make it out of wrecks, and I think that's going to be killer for the Cup Series cars. We saw it last week, the guys spitting out just by themselves, the big wrecks we saw in turn 2 last week. It's guys just getting loose. It's guys hitting bumps at the wrong point, getting their car sideways, and people have nowhere to go. So the inside lane at this track is going to be a bit sketchy. I think it's a huge disadvantage on the restarts unless you can barrel your way into the inside lane and do a slide job, do a slider up to the high side and take the lead there. I don't think the inside's going to be preferable. I think we're going to want to watch and want to play guys that are going to be riding on the wall. And I think when in the past, we really haven't looked at, worn out surfaces, and we don't really, tend to look at Vegas, but I think we can take a lot from what we saw last week at Auto Club and apply it to Las Vegas. I really do. And, let's kind of go through the drivers real quick. I think Kyle Larson is a clear favorite. I was baffled. Him being at 27% ownership, I have no idea what we're doing. I played, how many lines did I have? I think I had 17 lines. I had 6 with Hamlin. I think I had 2 with Kyle Busch, 6 with Hamlin. I had nearly all of them with Larson. I thought Larson would become in rivaling ownership of Hamlin and Kyle Busch there. Pretty shocked about that. When we look at the Toyotas struggling at Auto Club, and yet again, congratulations, NASCAR, for actually paying attention and reporting anything. But the main reason why we had so many Toyotas having issues, and nearly all the Toyotas having issues, is because of a decision that they made going to the track, which was another thing that we didn't talk about enough, is that how dirty Auto Club is, how much it literally kicks, sand and shit up into the radiator and underneath the car towards the motors. And so because of the expected high winds and dusty conditions at Auto Club Speedway, the 6 Toyota entries, the Joe Gibbs cars and the 2311 cars, each installed a thick screen in front of the radiator to prevent dust accumulating in the engine, which would cause the engine to overheat. Well, although that screen did keep dust out of the radiator, and excessive buildup of dust on the screen limited air from reaching the engine, thereby creating the very problem it was designed to prevent. If you think about what happens there, I'm talking way too fast. If you think about what happens there, it's a compounding effect because I don't know why I'm quoting this entire thing. Basically, Dave Wilson was talking to The Athletic about what happened to Toyota. Why was everybody overheating? And it was basically just an error that they made applying that screen. They thought it'd help them out. It actually ended up being a deterrent and ended up hurting them. And Dave was estimating that the Toyotas lost at least 10 horsepower as a function of that, and basically overheating the entire time, worrying about temperature the entire time. So not only were they worrying about overheating, they never actually had the full speed that they believe they should have had. He still thinks they wouldn't have factored in the win even if they didn't have that windscreen or that protective screen in front of the radiator. But still, that was a miscalculation by Toyota and this new car. That's why the Toyotas had no impact on the Auto Club race. They're not going to bring that to Las Vegas. Now, when we look at guys that I think are going to be stupid fast here, it's obviously going to be Larson. Actually, before we get to that, we've heard it from multiple crew chiefs that the data from last year, previous data, throw that out. This is a completely new car. I don't know how to take that any more than, like, if you're not going to trust me when I say, hey, throw this data out, I don't think it's very important. Maybe in some circumstances, if you want to look at specific data points, like when they went to Nashville last year with the high horsepower, low downforce package, hey, that's when we can look at practice. That's when we can look at those types of races. When we want to look at the years in the past that had a package that's similar to what they're running this year. And so when you look back at, say, the packages that they ran in 2015, when it was 2016, 17, and 18. When you want to look at those types of years, you can take some data from that point. You could take it from, I still think looking back at Gen 4 data points and how drivers performed back then is important. Now, granted, we don't have a lot of those drivers in this field anymore, but I still think that's an aspect that you can look at. So if we're looking at data, I want to be looking at high horsepower data. Outside of that, I'm not really considering a lot of the stuff. And so when we look at guys that are performing well, specifically at Auto Club this last weekend, it was guys who had talent. Now, let me ask you something. Who has had the best car this year? Who out of the gate has been whooping the field? Unstoppable behemoth. The best car everywhere we've gone this year. We've gone to a short track. Oh, Brandon, you just said don't worry about the clash. I know, but look, when we're talking about far above the field in terms of speed, in terms of what they're bringing to the track, it's Tyler Reddick. Fastest car at the clash at a short track. First ever race, right out of the gate. Smack dab in the lead. Fastest car out there. Breaks a transaxle. We go to Daytona, obviously. It's a great track. We go to Auto Club. Fastest car. Nobody had a chance of catching him. Absolutely gone. Once he got comfortable, was able to pass people, blew a tire. Unfortunate there, and then Byron plows into him. Just unlucky there. But look, Tyler Reddick, 9,300. I am interested in Tyler Reddick. I'm interested in Larson. I want to play guys who are going to be aggressive, who are going to be running the top. Who else showed up at times last week? Stenhouse Jr. came through the field, showed speed, had some fumbles here and there in pit road, had some fumbles in the race. Didn't get the finish that I think he should have got because he ended up finishing 10th. I think he had a top 8 car, to be honest. His race rating was, he really had the 8th fastest car. I think he could have gotten up there more so. When we look at guys who are coming, and a real narrative from this is play the dirt track, guys, straight up. Like, as much crap as you want to throw on that, whatever your stance is, I think it's here to stay, man. When we're going to these tracks that are bumpy, that are going to have tire wear, that are going to have multiple lanes, that you're going to want to be driving by the top groove by the wall. Chase Briscoe came through. Cole Custer, I think it was stupidly important that Cole Custer ran that Xfinity race. Not sure he'll show up with the same amount of, right out of the gate comfortable, or I was going to say comfortability, but that's not a word. Right out of the gate, being comfortable at Las Vegas, not running a second series this week. But I think that's important to see. When we look at Bowman, stupid fast. Are you kidding me? Stupid fast. Got on the wall, had damage, was never able to come back into finishing 25th. Christopher Bell. I mean, you want to talk about another guy who was fast, who was showing speed. Spun out, went 4 laps down, They basically packed it up and said, fuck this, we ain't staying. We're 4 down. It doesn't even matter. Just pack it up. Let's head to Las Vegas. Let's get over with. So I'm dead serious, man. These dirt trackers are really a pinpoint that I want to hit. People who have had experience running different types of motorsports, and specifically cars that have a high horsepower to weight ratio. That's what I want to look at heading to this event. I think Kyle Busch is going to perform perfect this week. I think Kyle Busch is going to be there. I'm not concerned about the Toyotas running into issues. They were all overheating. It would be shocked if they were like, man, we don't know what happened. We just don't have speed. Here at the Toyota camp, we got our ass whooped. We have no idea what's going on. But that's not what happened. They identified the problem. It was self-inflicted. They shot themselves in the foot before they even made it to the track. They were down. They were behind the 8 ball right off the bat. So I'm not concerned about that. Because if you go on Twitter, you'll see, oh my God, is Joe Gibbs Racing the Stewart Haas Racing of this year? Oh my God, is Joe Gibbs the fade? Is this what's going on? Are there just like... No, look, guys, put in context. It's 2 races into a new car. They all had issues because they were overheating. Let's not blow that out of proportion. And this field is stupid even across the field. It really did bring the competition level. And that's another reason why I want to throw a lot of that past data out, because I truly believe everybody here is on an even playing field. And they're all trying to figure out what's the thing that's going to, elevate a team. Like we saw Eric Jones, basically be the most consistent car last week at Auto Club. Eric Jones is 7,300 this week, Eric Jones ended up being by default the best car through the entire race. Not only through attrition, because obviously Reddick got taken out, some other guys that were in and out of the top 5, but Eric Jones is looking good. You can argue that, hey, maybe it's the Chevys, maybe they have an advantage. I'm not going to go on that far. I'm looking specifically at drivers, but it really did. It brought up the C tier, the B tier teams. It brought up RCR, which they were fast last year and the year before in general. They were easily top 15 contenders, working their way in the top 10. But I think they're an even playing field between them, Hendrick. It just goes to the drivers. It goes to where these people are. The guys that we saw struggle last week are not entirely surprising. A lot of the guys who spun out, who ran into trouble, were guys that we kind of projected, or that we've kind of at least looked at and expecting guys to run into issues and things of that nature. Even with that, like, you can have a terrible time during the race, and I don't think we're necessarily going to have long runs at Las Vegas. This is not a race where I expect this race to go green, which sucks for DFS. I like races that go green. I like being able to project for that type of stuff. This is not a race I project for that. I think we're going to have late race restarts, specifically in stage 3, because, cautions breed cautions. And the restart's going to be fucking nuts. That's just how it's going to be. And we haven't really seen cars getting on a real apron. Obviously, they were on the apron last week at Auto Club. But this will be the first real check to see what happens if, not only when you hit the bumps on the entry of 1 and 2, but what happens when you get your left inside tire barely touching that apron on the inside lane. What if you go down a little bit too far? Your splitter drags and it upsets the car. Exiting 2, exiting 4. What happens there? So, just kind of another unknown that we need to at least see. I think this is a good chance to have quite a lot of yellows. Maybe not a high DNF factor, but a lot of guys that are, running into issues, spinning out, having a lot of restarts. And so, yet again, we're looking at guys that have skill, which you should know in the top of your head, and we'll talk about it here and there. I mean, you can ask me if you want, but you have the guys that obviously have skill, the guys that are going to be able to run on the high line, the guys that are going to be able to control the cars, and I don't know why NASCAR was like, yeah, we're going to have this tire situation squared away by next week. No, BS, it's not. You have to redesign this next-gen car, NASCAR. Just admit it, you have no idea what you're talking about when you design this car. You did not think even a micro step ahead of step 1. You're just like, oh, built the car. Let's not even worry about what happens when we blow tires. It's incredible. So same situation here. And all the fans complain, you guys are a bunch of idiots. You already knew that was happening. I don't know why you're surprised. It's going to happen this week in Las Vegas. If somebody spins out, God forbid you get high centered, you have some tires on the apron, you have some tires on the banking, you're screwed. Like last week, Christopher Bell went 4 laps down. Out of his control, nothing he did. He didn't tear the carb, didn't do anything. Ross Chastain got stuck there. Josh Bilicki went a couple laps down because they had to get him out of the grass. That's just the situation now. You spin out, you better keep it going. What happened to Elliott? Elliott brought the yellow out on purpose. Did intentionally. Chase Elliott threw a little fit. Okay, he got wrecked by a teammate. Basically tried to screw Larson out of a win. No penalty whatsoever. NASCAR just letting that fucking fly. They don't give a shit. But Elliott spun it on purpose. You know what he did? Held that gas down, turned left, never lifted off the throttle. Watch him spin out. He does not blow those tires. He don't lock them up. He keeps them spinning. He throws that 360 on and keeps it going. That's what you got to do. Honest to God, the way you don't blow tires here is to forget everything you've ever been taught about saving a race car and any intelligent thought and just stay in it, driver. You got to stay in the gas, try and loop it around, keep your momentum. Because if you stop and you got 3, God forbid you got 4 blown tires, your day is done. That's just the situation we have entering this week at Las Vegas. I think we're going to learn a lot. They're bringing back, a real practice session this week. We're going to see long runs. Which unbelievable. I wish they didn't, honestly. It's quite surprising that NASCAR, extends practice sessions, but they don't fix the blown tire issue. But that's just what we're going to have to deal with. But let me go ahead and find this real quick. Yeah, we're going to have one 35-minute practice session with no groups, and there will be single car qualifying after that by groups, which is perfect. Updated, which is what they should have just been doing all along. It's like anytime they fix an issue, they fix the group qualifying as an open qualifying session. They fix that, and they're like, well, we got to make practice more exciting. Last week was rough. Daytona was rough. That's just how it is, man. Saturday, I didn't leave my room, which I'm not complaining. Look, I have fun. Listen, you guys support me. I am more than happy to sit here all day Saturday watching NASCAR. I am not. This is not me complaining. I'm just saying it's a long day, NASCAR. Who's watching qualifying outside of people who have money on it? Seriously. But yeah, so at least we're going to have a 35-minute practice session. We're going to see long runs, and we're going to see guys have a good idea of what the car's going to do. I think we're still going to have cars spin out. But I really do think that a lot of the guys who were fast last week at Auto Club are going to continue that fast ways here. I think that's a great starting point entering this week. I'm very excited that we have qualifying for Xfinity tomorrow, Friday. I'm glad that we'll have the qualifying for the Cup Series on Saturday. So obviously we still have an entire day to, build lines and still work with stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to necessarily make a picks video for for the Cup Series, because I did like doing the live show on Saturday this past week. Even if Pierce doesn't join me, I kind of enjoyed that more, and it certainly did really good in terms of people watching and everything. But yeah, for the Cup Series, and if you haven't watched them, and I understand, put on 2X, give it a shot. Pierce has gone over all the crew chiefs in the Cup Series, and he's still going over in different series as well. And I think that is very important stuff to listen to, because this is a situation where we're kind of getting back to real NASCAR. We're kind of getting back to real racing, despite the fact we're racing sedans and stuff. But the crew chiefs, the brains of the team, it's no longer just hold your foot down, driver. We got to build you a car catered around your driving style to get these cars to go around. Look at where the crew chiefs have gone. Look at where they've been. Look at the experience they have. I think that's a great aspect to look at. I think the crew chief, I answered a question last week in one of the comment section, but really when we're looking at data, we're looking at 90% car, 10% driver skill. In the grand scheme of things, in terms of where speed is actually coming from. It's all coming from how the car is set up. Kyle Larson is great, but you know what? They're giving him a fantastic car to drive. And so I would advise you go listen to those as well. Check out where these crew chiefs are. And the guys who have experience either in just high horsepower series or seasons are, I think they're going to have a lot of success right now. That's how I really want to go about it. I know a lot of people are already talking about Penske for Las Vegas. I'm really not even looking at teams, man. I'm just going by drivers and speed and practice and what they're showing me at Auto Club. If they happen to be on a team, they happen to be on a team. But this whole, like, you know, because, I mean, if you're on DFS Twitter, you already see it. It's like, oh, this is Penske's track. Well, did you guys not forget that Larson just kicked the shit out of everyone last year when he showed up here at this race? When Hendrick pretty much had the best cars, except when Chase Elliott got spun and then Alex Bowman blew a tire late. Like, are we forgetting how good Hendrick was at this racetrack last year? Are we kind of forgetting that? Here, let's go about it. Yeah, so Chase Elliott, Las Vegas won in the spring, finished 13th. But had a really good car, got damaged, and they repaired it and actually made the car worse. Like I just said, when we look at Alex Bowman and his 2 races here, and Chase Elliott finished second in the fall race. When we look at Las Vegas for Alex Bowman, just bad luck, really. Both finishes outside the 20s, but he had a fast car here. So I don't think it's necessarily a track that we're just like, okay, it's Penske's here. We can focus in on Penske. Let's actually look through and see where all these guys are going. But yeah, right now, I'm really still liking Larson. And if people are not going to be playing Larson, if we're going to get discounts on Larson, by all means, I'll take it. Another thing is, I really do believe that we're going to have a lot of lead changes on pit road because that's just the nature of the beast here. And so we're going to see, I think we have a good chance of seeing laps led and fast laps being spread out a bit more. We're still going to have the main, lap leaders. But we're going to see guys get up there who, quote-unquote, necessarily shouldn't be, go up there, lead 13, 14 laps, get 8, 7 fast laps from around there. And I think that'll expand and, make more of the field playable. And then going back yet again, I mean, we had Austin Dillon come through. Austin Dillon looked like a fucking terrible play last week. When we have, Daniel Suarez coming through, who looks like a fucking terrible play last week. It's a situation to where, we get so many restarts late, we get so many cautions late that a lot of plays that nobody is on are working here. And so I need to do a better job at identifying that because I played a shit ton of guys last week and I didn't play a single Austin Dillon. I didn't play a single Daniel Suarez. So I got to do a better job at identifying plays. And we did a great job last weekend. That's not me. And look, I'm not stroking myself here. I'm just saying to myself what I need to do. I was able to identify, people like Reddick, Bowman, Stenhouse, people who showed speed who necessarily weren't looked at the entire week, I need to go another step beyond that. Who are guys that honestly have a chance of being there late in races that we're not looking at, that are going under-owned, that might be starting in the teens, that just kind of look ugly, that might be starting in the top 10, that might be a bit ugly. And also, pricing is still very, very soft. We have incredibly soft pricing here. I know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 guys over 10K. However, we have a lot of good, great plays, in my opinion, in the 5K range. Even in a pump play, if you want to start looking at that, I don't hate it. But we have Corey LaJoie, $5,100. I think he is underpriced. Don't get it. I think Corey LaJoie is severely underpriced. I think Todd Gilliland at 5K is underpriced. I truly believe McDowell is underpriced. Ty Dillon is underpriced. I think Hemrick is underpriced as well. Same thing. At the moment, I don't like Greg Biffle, the play, but I think Hemrick is underpriced. I think Haley is underpriced. We're going to be building a lot of lineups that have multiple, dominators in your lineups. And so when we get there, I don't hate playing people like LaJoie and McDowell together, despite the fact, who gives a shit if Michael McDowell starts 14th? Okay. I don't hate that play. I really don't hate it. We have plays that should be easily considered. We have Chris Buescher again. We have Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, being too cheap. I just talked you up about Stenhouse and talked about how well he ran last week at Auto Club. And, oh, but Stenhouse, the wrecky Spinhouse, anybody can wreck here. Look, we're having, you know, basically NASCAR high percentage of incidents lately because we're actually racing again. It really comes down to skill. And so if everybody has a chance, if everybody, honest to God, has a 50% chance to spin out at least, we even bump it down to like 30, that Stenhouse is not as crazy as he used to be, okay? If anything, I think it just makes Stenhouse more appealing. Eric Jones, right out of the gate, you know, at Auto Club, pretty much most consistent car all day. Ran inside the top 5 more than anybody else. 7,300. We have, you know, Chris Trabell, 82. Keselowski, underpriced at 84. Bowman, underpriced at 87. And even when you get to the 10K guys, Kurt Busch, 89. Don't hate it. Reddick, 93. Don't hate it. Martin Truex Jr., 95. Don't hate it. I don't hate these plays. And so when we're building lines, you know, specifically, probably, at least in my opinion, very similar to last week, to where I'm basically going to be using 2, maybe even 3 guys between the 5K and the 6K range in most lines. It'll be fairly easy for me to throw Larson, you know, say if I want to throw Kyle Busch, if I want to throw Logano. It'll be pretty easy to throw guys that I want to in lines. I think this pricing is really, really soft. So that's more so my intro or my preview into the Cup Series. Do I end this video? Do I make another one? I'm going to end this video right here. I'm going to make the Xfinity one next. Yeah, this is the Cup Series preview at Las Vegas. Thank you for listening.